going full diva. Can you believe this? A jamfluencer going full diva.
Favourite royal couple, Harry and Meghan, well...
The chaos brewing in Montecito didn't begin with a scandal, a headline, or even a leaked memo from some anonymous insider. No, this one started the way most things seem to in Meghan Markle's world, with a demand so outrageous it made an entire PR team collectively reconsider their career choices. Word began trickling out of Montecito early Monday morning, the kind of whispers that make interns double-check their NDAs and senior staff quietly map out potential exit strategies. Meghan, reportedly in full Duchess mode, had delivered a new list of requirements for her PR firm, demands so over-the-top that even the Hollywood veterans, the ones who've survived Grammy meltdowns and Oscar night feuds, were left blinking in disbelief.
It's a PR disaster to have, Pat Tillman's mum saying it's not a good idea for him to receive the award. And
it's PR, one insider joked, but she didn't ask for miracles. She demanded them. Loudly. According to those familiar with the situation, the requests ranged from overnight reinventions of her entire public narrative to pushing glowing features into outlets that barely mention royalty anymore. At one point, she even called for what was described as a global empathy reset. No one knew what that meant, and frankly, no one wanted to be the one to ask. Tensions had been simmering for weeks. Her popularity metrics were dipping again, critics were growing louder, and a few high-profile business deals had reportedly stalled. The lifestyle brand wasn't gaining traction the way she hoped, and the constant comparisons to Catherine weren't helping. In this dramatized account, Meghan did what she's often portrayed as doing whenever the spotlight moves, dims, or shifts. She tried to drag it back toward herself, no matter the cost, no matter the chaos it set off behind the scenes.
Prince Henry Charles Albert David of Wales Sussex, what are you doing here?
Harry, bless him, tried to keep things calm, but he's long past being the shock absorber between Meghan and the rest of the world. Even he seemed overwhelmed this time. One person familiar with the situation described him as looking like a man watching a train he couldn't stop, pacing the halls while Meghan swept through meetings like a commander preparing for a full-scale campaign. The PR team, already worn down from weeks of putting out smaller fires, suddenly found themselves facing a wildfire. In this dramatized account, Meghan demanded the firm counteract every negative headline, plant a dozen positive narratives, rebuild her public image from the ground up, rebrand her as a Hollywood force, and squash all online criticism, all before the end of the month. And when the team gently pointed out that this wasn't realistic, she didn't just get annoyed or discouraged. According to the fictional insider account, she went full volcanic eruption, the kind of moment that left the room silent, the staff frozen, and Harry looking like he needed a very long walk outside.
Unlike, one might say, for Harry and Meghan, who yet again seemed...
One witness in this dramatized account claimed her voice could crack diamonds. Another insisted the walls of the Montecito home seemed to vibrate. Someone else said Harry flinched every time she lifted her hand to emphasize a point. At the height of the outburst, Meghan reportedly launched into a tirade about how everyone, the press, the palace, the public, even America's elite, had conspired to dim her light. The PR team did their best to remain professional, but it was painfully obvious they'd reached their limit. No level of crisis management billing could soften the impact of a meltdown like that. These weren't interns or newcomers. These were seasoned professionals who had weathered celebrities with legacies far more chaotic. Yet what finally broke them wasn't the workload. It was the realization that Meghan wanted them to battle an enemy she kept redefining every day, every hour, as if the target was constantly shifting to be why Tuesday morning. The fallout had already begun. 3 senior staff members had reportedly quit. 2 more filed notices of departure. Another asked to be reassigned off the Sussex account altogether. And according to this fictional scenario, the firm's CEO eventually made a calm but decisive call to Harry, gently explaining that the partnership was no longer a workable fit.
After a surprising behind-the-scenes detail about her conduct sent the internet into overdrive. So she appeared on the cover of Harper's Bazaar's.
In PR language, it was a polite way of saying, your wife didn't just burn this bridge, she torched it, paved over the ashes, and salted the ground so nothing could ever grow there again. Meanwhile, Meghan was stunned, genuinely shocked that anyone would choose to walk away from her. The Duchess of Sussex, the woman who once captivated global attention, couldn't understand why a team wouldn't stay loyal. She reportedly insisted the firm had failed her, claiming they weren't elevating her properly, that they lacked ambition or vision. According to insiders in this fictionalized account, she even floated the idea of hiring a world-class firm, one that understood both global royalty and Hollywood influence. Translation: a firm that would say yes to everything without question. But here's the twist. Most top PR firms already know the reputation, and many want no involvement in the non-stop crisis cycle that seems to follow the Sussex brand in this dramatized narrative. It's not about politics, or royalty, or public reaction. It's about the impossibility of shaping a coherent story when the main character keeps changing the narrative every 3 days.
So their latest sort of chief of staff that they hired, who was a sort of PR man extraordinaire, has
Back in the Montecito mansion, tensions had reached a breaking point. Meghan paced through the living room, firing off rapid-fire ideas about her next big move, while Harry sat quietly in the corner, absorbing the fallout the way he always seemed to. Staff members were spotted leaving the property with tight expressions, clutching their laptops and folders like relics salvaged from a disaster site. And then came the final blow. A leaked internal memo, allegedly from the PR team, began circulating online. It didn't reveal confidential details, but it described the account as unmanageable, citing impossible expectations and a hostile work environment created by the client. The internet exploded within minutes. Commentators pounced. Critics laughed. Even supporters were stunned that yet another PR implosion had erupted so soon after the last one. According to this dramatized narrative, Meghan went absolutely ballistic when she saw the memo. She called the leak a betrayal. She blamed the firm. She blamed the palace. She blamed online trolls. She blamed the media. She blamed institutional resentment of her success. The one person she didn't blame, herself. Harry tried to calm her down, but even he looked defeated. Like he already knew this was a battle no PR team could ever win. He recognized the cycle all too well. Meghan pushes, the team tries, the demands escalate, the relationship collapses, and a new team steps in with optimism that never lasts. But this time, something felt different. This wasn't just a bad week or a few tense emails. This was the kind of rupture that doesn't get patched up with apologies or press releases. It was bigger, deeper, and it wasn't going away quietly. This was an implosion so big that PR firms across Los Angeles were, in this dramatized account, reportedly warning each other about the Montecito problem. Even Hollywood insiders were whispering that Meghan's behind-the-scenes reputation was becoming harder to repair than her public one. And if she couldn't keep a PR team, the very people whose job is to fix reputations, what did that say about the chaos brewing behind those mansion walls? Right now, Montecito looked less like a serene celebrity enclave and more like a full-scale PR crime scene. And just when it seemed like the madness couldn't get any louder, it did. Because the moment Meghan sensed that this PR team was tiptoeing toward the exit, the entire energy of the household shifted. Harry began pacing the hallways again, staff tiptoed around as if the floors were covered in broken ornaments, and Meghan moved into what felt like the third act of a prestige drama, convinced she alone had to defeat the villains sabotaging her legacy. The villains, of course, being her own PR strategists, the same ones she interviewed, vetted, approved, and hired after what felt like 27 rounds of meetings and a background check fit for MI5. These poor souls had probably entered the job expecting to polish brand messaging, coordinate magazine features, maybe fine-tune a speech or two, but instead, in this fictional narrative, they found themselves tasked with something far more absurd, reinventing the global perception of Meghan Markle single-handedly and preferably before lunch. The tension began the moment the PR team tried to gently suggest that maybe, just maybe, the public doesn't always respond well to being overwhelmed. One carefully chosen voice said something like, "Perhaps we could try a softer tone in upcoming messaging." And suddenly, the room shifted to in Marina Vale's mind. Softening was code for dimming her light, and dimming was simply not an option. She began pacing, speaking in rapid bursts about how her vision was being misunderstood, how certain staff weren't aligned, and how the entire firm needed to truly appreciate the scope of what she brought to the table. The PR team could sense it immediately. The game was over for them. But in the Vale playbook, nothing happens quietly. The moment the team started to pull away emotionally, she doubled down. Long directives started arriving at all hours. Paragraphs of demands designed to make even the most seasoned crisis manager pause. She wanted a new documentary concept drafted by tomorrow. She wanted options for a philanthropic campaign that highlighted her influence without seeming self-serving. She demanded strategies for reclaiming the narrative, elevating conversations, and, the cherry on top, brainstorming ways to create a global movement centered around empathy. Empathy from the very person driving her staff to the brink. The PR team, exhausted and overwhelmed, realized this wasn't a bad week or a few tight deadlines. This was an entirely new level of chaos, the kind that made everyone wonder if any strategy could survive unscathed.
Obviously didn't go in your favor. I want to start by asking.
Meanwhile, Hale was in the next room, looking like a man who desperately wished for noise-canceling headphones for emotions. He was overwhelmed, exhausted, and very visibly trying to play mediator. He kept popping his head in with gentle suggestions. Maybe we take a breather? Marina snapped back immediately. If we stop, they win. And in this fictional world, they changed meaning almost daily. By midweek, the PR team was mentally checked out, though still technically on the payroll. They were doing that familiar corporate dance, appearing busy while quietly plotting their escape. Whispers filled the virtual hallways as team members discussed exit clauses, shared stories of colleagues who had quit after endless, impossible demands, and debated who would break the news that they were done. But Marina beat them to it. In pure dramatic fashion, she called an emergency video meeting. Everyone logged on looking like they had aged several lifetimes in a single day. Marina opened with a long speech about dedication, loyalty, and vision, and then dropped the bomb. It's clear some people just don't have the capacity to keep up, she said, which in Vale speak translated to, pack your tea. The team thanked Marina for the opportunity, promised to prepare transition documents, and she nodded like a queen dismissing courtiers. The moment the call ended, Silverwood Hills erupted into a thunderstorm of frantic emails, scattered files, and staff desperately trying not to look like they were quietly celebrating their freedom. But, of course, there was a twist. There always is with Marina. Just days after letting the PR team go, she suddenly panicked. Without a team, she had no one to help strategize her next move, no one to maintain her visibility, no one to manage the perception she was so determined to shape. She pivoted to Hale, insisting they needed to hire a new, better, superior team immediately. Hale rubbed his temples. By now, every PR agency in Hollywood had Silverwood Hills on the approach with caution list. Some had them on the absolutely not under any circumstances list. Marina's previous chaos was an open secret in the communications world. Agencies practically drew straws to decide who would even respond to her inquiry emails. Yet Marina remained convinced the perfect team existed. A team that would understand her, worship her, and place her on the pedestal she believed was her natural habitat. Within hours, she was contacting firms and spiraling again as most politely declined. Some didn't even respond at all. And this is when Silverwood Hills hit maximum chaos. She stormed around the mansion, railing about incompetence, betrayal, and how people were too intimidated to work with greatness. Hale tried to be supportive, but even he seemed to realize there was no winning this one. Days passed, the tension thickened, and the storm showed no signs of abating. Marina Vale sent inquiries to boutique firms, independent consultants, even retired PR veterans. She was determined to find someone, anyone, willing to treat her public image as a challenge rather than a nightmare. But the message came back loud and clear. No one wanted to touch this level of drama. To be why now, the whispers had begun. Neighbors in Silverwood Hills whispered. Assistants whispered. Even the couple's remaining staff whispered behind closed doors, because the volcano was rumbling louder by the hour. And then, in the ultimate twist of irony, Marina began suggesting, half joking, half serious, that maybe she should run her own PR. No one understands my narrative like I do, she said, which, in Vale logic, translated to, I am the brand, therefore I am the best person to control it. Hale's face went completely blank. The expression you wear when you realize the roller coaster has no brakes and you're just along for the ride. But Marina was serious. She started jotting down strategies, planning content, and mapping out a new vision for their public presence. Ironically, this only made things worse. Without a team to filter or temper her ideas, every impulse became a plan. Every annoyance became a statement. Every moment became an emergency. Silverwood Hills turned into a battlefield of frantic brainstorming and reactive chaos. And Marina was at the center, convinced she was blazing a trail when, in reality, she was lighting fires she couldn't put out. As the walls seemed to close in and the PR world collectively stepped back, one thing became painfully clear. This wasn't a story about a PR team failing Marina. It was a story about her burning through every team that didn't worship her exactly the way she demanded.